What'd you just say? Tell everybody what you just said.
I'd have to give the whole context of what I said for it to even make sense.
All right, part 3.
Part 3. Blue boop. So we went our separate ways.
He went
and lived his life. I went and lived mine.
I was like, all right.
It was a clean break. It was not a...
It wasn't.
You trying to hold on. I'm trying to hold on. You trying to do this on the side. I'm trying to do this. It was a, you go your way, I go mine. We had a good run. I thought that was it. I truly did.
I did too. But at that time, I was really trying to figure out, Lord, what do you want from my life? What is your will for my life? And at that time, that's what I felt like he said. So, fast forward. I decide I want to commit. Do I tell this part of the story? The first time I challenged Jesus?
If you want to. Put your business in the streets.
So, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do what Pastor said. I'm gonna commit. I am going to commit 100%. So I go back to this relationship, this 2.5-year relationship, and I commit, right? And in my commitment, this is around June, July, and I'm like, I'm going to marry her because the Bible says it's better to get married than to burn, and find a
burn with lust.
Burn with lust. So thank you. Over here misquoting. And finds a wife, finds a good thing, like all these things, right? So I'm like, hey, I'm committing. Go back to this relationship, and as I'm thinking about marrying her, I said, and the Lord told me, like, well, you got, like, if you want to do this, like, you have to tell her about your past. Like, you have to tell her of the infractions and the infidelity and the cheating.
Clean. And her, clean. We're not talking about me. I'm not
talking about her, right?
I'm minding my own business.
She minding her business wherever she at. And I'm like, so this is, mind y'all, give some context. I had never really knew what it meant to talk to the Lord or Lord to talk to you. Didn't know anything about that. All I knew was, I was like, I've gotten away with this double life that I wasn't proud of, but I got away with it. Why am I having a thought that I have to tell her I have to come clean? Like, that makes zero sense. Where they do that at? Make that make sense, Jesus. And I was like, well, if you want her to know, I promise you I'm not making this. I promise I'm not making this part of the story out. If you want her to know,
you're making up everything else.
If you want her to know, you tell her.
Mind you, we're not talking about me.
Not talking about Brittney. Word of the wise, never do this. Never challenge Jesus, right? If you're a baby Christian, listen to me. Never do it. Because Jesus said, all right, I'll tell her. So the next day, she wakes up, I wake up, and long story short, I go into the kitchen and I see this look on her face, and I ask, like, what's wrong? Like, is everything okay? And she proceeds to say, kind of like frazzled, like, I had a dream. And I'm like, oh, tell me about what's wrong, man. What kind of dream was this? And she said,
"Damn me."
She said, I had a dream that you cheated on me. And it was at that moment where I just kind of like, just deer in the head, like, so it's awkward, pause, silence. And she was like, you did cheat on me. So then I had to come clean. And that...
Why you do air quotes? You did come clean. You had to.
I mean, I didn't come clean as a result of me coming, like...
You still had to come clean, though.
Yeah, I mean...
Not your timing. The way you wanted to, but...
Yeah, but I had to
still did.
Basically tell everything that I had. It was straight up confessions. But just with...
These are my
confessions. Not me telling her... Jesus told her, and then I had to come in and
so essentially
that was like the end of, like, we tried.
That was the beginning of the end.
That was the beginning of the end.
And she couldn't trust him anymore.
She couldn't trust me. And
they tried for months.
Yeah, understandably so. We really did try. She tried, I tried. And it just got to the point where I was like, this ain't it. So that was October. And at that time, that relationship ends, and somehow we start to cross paths. Mind you, we had been going to the same church from that May to October. Like, we had been going to the same church. We just came in different ways, sat on different sides.
But not like avoidant.
Not avoidant.
It's just I happen to sit in a certain part of the church and I leave a certain way and vice versa.
And mind, this is a small church. It's small.
But we weren't, I wasn't
strong black
operating.
church.
We weren't operating in a space of like, oh, I'm trying to avoid you. Like, legit. He had moved on. I had moved on.
Right.
That's it. Even when, I remember there being like a church greeting. Like a greet your neighbor type thing one time. And I just remember it very vividly because...
You never told me this part of the story.
I think I did. I told you once. I remember it very vividly. You don't want to hear this.
What?
And we happened to like...
Hold on, y'all. Let me go off camera real quick. What you about to say?
No, you should be telling the story.
What you about to say? I don't know this part.
I remember it very vividly because I was in like 5-inch heels. Like, they were high.
But it come from my manhood?
I'm not coming for your manhood, but I remember thinking, and maybe it was just a coping thing, but I remember when we like, oh, greet your neighbor. I remember walking away like, I know. But I think maybe it was a coping thing for me of like, you don't have to be hurt, sis. That wasn't meant to be.
And then I proposed and we got married. And then we lived happily ever after.
I still picked you.
Whatever.
I ain't never looked at nobody under 6 feet tall. I think I did have one boyfriend.
She's shallow.
Why had to be shallow?
She's shallow.
That
Because
was
you
my-
almost let
that
your
was my
future walk
version.
away.
Of standards then, as a 19, 20, 21-year-old standards. So anyway, I do remember that one interaction. So October comes and we start crossing paths. We randomly get assigned to the same church anniversary committee, and it was like 4 people on the committee. The church was like 60 people. They had a committee, it was like 4 people, and the 2 of us got put on the
How
committee
did I get
together.
put on a committee?
I don't know.
It was the past appreciation?
Pastor was all, oh yeah, it was something like that.
It's past appreciation.
Pastor would always put me on stuff, so I knew it doesn't surprise me that I was on it. But we was on it together. So there were different things that we would be interacting. You know, he was coming to Bible study. I'd come to Bible study when I could, stuff like that. And so it was like we didn't see each other at all like that summer. And then just things started coming together, crossing paths, interacting more in October. And so I'll fast forward to...
The fruit cup. Tell me about the fruit cup, babe. Tell me about the fruit cup. Go ahead. Tell me about the fruit cup, girl. Tell her about the fruit cup.
Little Sam fruit cup with the little plastic wrap on it. It was
Sad.
so cute. It was cute. It was so
It was
cute.
gourmet.
Ooh.
Tell me
It
about the
was
fruit
real
cup.
cute.
Tell me about the fruit cup.
Anyway,
Yeah,
he
go
had
ahead.
gotten in a car accident and did not have a vehicle. So one Sunday, it was part of the anniversary thing. I don't know if it was happening that Sunday. I'm not sure. He lived probably half a mile from the church, but asked for a ride to get...
I live more than a half a mile from the church. Stop
It
trying to
felt
play
like
me.
it was around the corner. Anyway, he asked if I could come pick him up to get to the service. And I was like, oh, sure. And I think I had a friend in the car with me at the time. And I pull up, call, like, hey, I'm outside. And he was like, oh, you're not going to come in? And I was like, oh, okay. So I turned off the car, you know, turned to my friend.
Snatched your seatbelt off and was like, oh my gosh, girl.
No, I turned to my friend like, he invited us in. Well, I was like, I wasn't trying to be like, ugh. It was more like, oh, okay. So we went inside and he's like, oh, you know, I'm just finishing up getting ready. So I was like, okay. He was like, I can't remember what you said, but basically like I have something for you in the fridge. And so I go to the fridge and he had made a breakfast fruit cup for me. It was very sweet. It was very sweet.
You got it?
But what he didn't know is I really don't like mixed fruit. But I ate it. I did because it was very sweet and thoughtful. Very.
And bomb. Don't forget bomb. But anyways, I digress. It was my intro to
But
cooking.
it was very sweet.
Mhm.
Very sweet. So that was one of the things. So
That brought us. That's what crossed our paths back together.
yeah. Well,
Like,
yeah. And there was little
in a-
things that would happen.
Little interactions like,
And so I started telling my roommates, like, I think he trying to ease his way back up in here.
which I was not.
And they was like, yes, you were.
No, I wasn't. I was living for Jesus. Go ahead.
And me and living for Jesus don't go together.
Not at that time. No. But
You were. I felt, and maybe it was a natural progression that was happening. A natural magnetic connection. Maybe that's what it was. But shortly after I said that to them, I get a text message saying, wondering if you'd like to go to dinner sometime so we could finish our conversation from the summer. And I vividly remember saying to them, I'm pretty sure we finished that conversation. So I'm not sure what he want to talk about.
dun dun dun.
Oh, yes, we're at 11 minutes.
You go ahead. Finish up.
No, it's okay. Okay, I said, and I knew how it looked. I knew how it looked for me to be like, oh, sure. So I was like, I need to put some type of speed bumps in this, just allowing you to come back. Because if I just say, oh, yeah, sure, what I look like?
So what did you say?
I said,